Do you ever feel like each day pulls you in 100 directions? Work, social media, other people's emotions? Like you're reacting, not living. Maybe it's time to take your life back. These are 7 daily habits, morning and night, that help me live like a Stoic warrior, clear-minded, grounded, and unshaken by the noise. Are you ready to live in a way that nothing outside of you can control how you feel? Then start with habit number 1. 1. Stoic Morning Challenge. Reboot your mental operating system from the first minute. Picture this. You wake up to a quiet morning. No buzzing phone. No barrage of messages. No emails waiting. No Instagram. No TikTok. No being dragged by the endless stream of the outside world. Just you, your breath, and a sacred sliver of stillness in a noisy age. Why does that matter so much? Because the very moment you reach for your phone upon waking, you've surrendered control of your attention to someone else. You're letting the outside world write the first chapter of your day. You're reacting, not leading. You're chasing, not creating. The truth is, every time you start the morning by checking notifications, you're jumpstarting your brain with cheap dopamine and fragmented attention. You send a message to your subconscious, today, I'll be a slave to reaction, not the author of my focus. But if you want to build a life forged with inner steel, it begins with your morning. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you wish to master your life, begin by mastering your morning." He didn't just write. He lived it. He rose early, reflected, grounded himself in philosophy, and turned inward before turning outward. Here's your action plan, the Stoic Morning Challenge. Place your phone outside your bedroom. Far from reach. In another room, in a drawer. Don't rely on willpower, redesign your environment to win automatically. Buy a real alarm clock. Not an app. A physical, no-nonsense clock. One that doesn't send you updates. It just wakes you up. Tonight, before you sleep, program your mind for tomorrow. No phone for the first 30 minutes upon waking. Instead, sit in stillness. Breathe. Feel your body. Watch your thoughts. Write down 3 Stoic truths you want to embody today. Begin the day like a warrior, not a dopamine addict. What may seem small is the gateway to a personal revolution. You don't need motivation. You need mental discipline, and it begins within the first 5 seconds of your day. Speech balloons, so ask yourself honestly. Do you want to wake up to conquer, or wake up to scroll? You have one simple but powerful choice. Be the author of your mind, or the puppet of the world. The Stoic does not start the day distracted. He begins with awareness. With willpower. With complete agency. So tonight, silence the noise. Place your phone away. Let your morning be a ritual, the spark that ignites a day of unshakable presence. If you're ready, respond with, "Phone's out. I'm in." And begin mastering yourself from the first breath of tomorrow. Will you rise like a Stoic warrior or wake like a digital slave? The choice is yours. And it starts tonight. 2. Write 3 Stoic reminders each morning. Program your mind before the world does. If you followed through with yesterday's challenge, removing your phone from the bedroom and reclaiming your first waking moments, then you've already stepped off the conveyor belt of modern chaos. You've created space. Space is powerful. Space is freedom. Space is where a man reclaims sovereignty over his inner world. But here's the next truth. It's not enough to avoid noise, you must fill that silence with clarity. The modern world doesn't just flood you with distraction. It also erodes your values through subtle repetition. Advertisements, influencer culture, fear-based news cycles, they whisper 1,000 false messages each day. You're behind. You need more. You're not enough until you prove something. This is why your mind needs armor, daily. And the Stoics knew this centuries ago. Just as a warrior sharpens his blade before battle, the modern Stoic sharpens his perception before stepping into the world. The practice is simple, yet profound. Each morning, write down 3 Stoic reminders. By hand. In silence. Not on an app. Not copy-pasted. Write them. From your mind. For your life. Because what you write, you engrave. And what you engrave becomes how you walk through fire. Here's what this looks like. Sit down after waking. No phone. No screen. No external voice. Pick up your journal, a physical, dedicated one. Write these 3 lines. I do not control others, only how I respond. Everything I have can be taken, but no one can steal my integrity. Today is a battlefield. I will move with clarity, not emotion. Let your pen cut through fog. These lines are not motivational fluff. They're battle plans. They remind you. You're not entitled to an easy day. You're not promised approval or fairness. But you are capable of presence, strength, and restraint if you choose it. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That's why daily writing matters. It recalibrates your perception so you don't fall into imagined tragedies, mental spirals, and emotional quicksand. Because here's a brutal truth. If you don't program your mind each morning, the world will do it for you. And the world does not want a man who's calm, clear, and impossible to manipulate. It wants a man who scrolls, reacts, consumes, doubts himself, and chases empty wins. But you are choosing another path. So here's your challenge for the next 7 days. Before touching any screen, before hearing any voice that isn't your own, sit down, breathe, and write 3 Stoic reminders every morning. Make them personal, direct, uncomfortable if necessary. Write what you need to remember before the world makes you forget. Because repetition is how ideas become instinct. And instinct is what shows up when life punches you in the mouth. Train your instinct now when it's calm, so it's ready when it's not. If you're in, write this sentence on the first page of your journal tonight. My mind is mine, and I sharpen it daily. Then tomorrow, write 3 lines that make you unshakable. Your morning armor, forged in ink, guided by ancient wisdom, worn like a silent crown. Are you programming your life or being programmed by it? The pen is in your hand. The next step is yours. 3. Do one hard thing first. Build inner steel before the world touches you. If you've started anchoring your mornings with handwritten Stoic truths, you've already stepped into a rare kind of mental territory. You are no longer waking up to chase, you are waking up to choose. But now it's time to level up. Because clarity without action becomes comfort. And comfort, left unchecked, softens a man's soul. The ancient Stoics didn't pursue philosophy to feel wise. They practiced it to become durable in the face of life. To train their will. To strengthen the invisible part of themselves that no enemy, no failure, no headline could touch. And so must you. This next step is not complex. It's raw. Do one hard thing first every single morning. Not after your coffee. Not after scrolling. Not after the easy tasks are cleared. First. With full intent. While the day is still unshaped. Why? Because the first thing you do in a day sets the tone for everything that follows. When you choose to face discomfort voluntarily, you reclaim a fundamental truth. You are not here to be comfortable, you are here to grow. That doesn't mean punishing yourself. It means training your inner fire. The kind of fire that lets you walk calmly into chaos, because you've already walked through your own resistance at dawn. The practice is this. Pick one task you've been resisting, and do it as your first act of the day. That could be a cold shower that jolts you into presence. A 20-minute run when your body screams for warmth. Writing the content you've been avoiding for weeks. Making the call that forces you to face truth. This isn't about productivity hacks. This is about forging your will while the world still sleeps. The Stoics had a phrase for this. The obstacle is the way. They believed that resistance itself is the compass. Wherever you feel friction, that's where you must go first. Because doing what's hard first does more than check off a task. It silences the inner coward. It drowns the voice that says, later. It tells your nervous system, I lead. You follow. And that, my brother, is a habit that compounds into unbreakable presence. So here's the challenge. Tonight, take 2 minutes. Write down the thing you've been avoiding. The hard thing. The one that lives at the back of your mind like a shadow. Tomorrow morning, before breakfast, before talking to anyone, before the world pulls at you, do it. Even if it's messy. Even if it's imperfect. Especially if you don't feel like it. Because you're not here to wait for motivation. You're here to build inner steel, one rep of willpower at a time. This is the gem no one sees. This is the part where men are forged, not celebrated. You won't get applause. You won't get likes. You'll get something better. The quiet strength of knowing you moved when most men hesitated. So now the question is, what are you avoiding? What truth are you sidestepping? What action do you know you must take, but keep delaying? Write it. Circle it. Do it first tomorrow. And then watch how the rest of your day bows to your momentum. Because a man who does the hard thing first is already undefeatable by 9 a.m. Comfort is earned after discipline. Your will is a muscle. And now, it's time to train. 4. Lock in 90 minutes of deep work. Build something before the world interrupts. By now, you've started shaping your mornings like a man who refuses to drift. You've stripped away the chaos by protecting the first few minutes. You've rewritten your internal code through Stoic truths. You've taken action before comfort could seduce you back into passivity. But there's another predator waiting in the shadows. Subtle. Silent. Always hungry. Its name? Distraction. You may have begun the day with fire, but if you allow 100 tiny interruptions to scatter that fire, you're back to smoke. The truth is this. If you don't defend your focus, the world will consume it without apology. It's not personal. It's algorithmic. Everything from your inbox to your notifications is engineered to hijack your attention, not empower your mission. This is why every man who seeks clarity, strength, and self-command must claim a sacred window of time each morning. 90 minutes of deep work. No noise. No inputs. No compromises. This isn't about time management. This is about energy sovereignty. What you give your attention to, you feed. So what are you feeding? Urgency? Approval? Distraction masked as research? Or are you feeding the mission? Cal Newport, the author of Deep Work, said it best. The ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the same time it is becoming increasingly valuable. And the Stoics knew this centuries earlier, though they called it by another name. Presence. Marcus Aurelius didn't check messages before writing Meditations. He carved space to wrestle with thought, with purpose, with his own mind. You must do the same if you wish to build anything that matters. Here's your new daily ritual. Choose one task that moves your mission forward. Not admin. Not busy work. Something hard. Something real. Block 90 minutes first thing in the morning, before the noise creeps in. Turn off all notifications. Phone on airplane mode. Tabs closed. Doors shut. Headphones on if needed. Tell everyone, unavailable until time. No exceptions. Go to war with your craft. You're not allowed to check messages. You're not allowed to just scroll for a second. You are allowed one thing, to do the work that moves you forward. Because this is the battle line. This is where most men break. They start strong, and then splinter into reaction. They let the trivial replace the transformative. Not you. You are building a cathedral, not a sandcastle. And cathedrals require long hours of uninterrupted labor in silence. That's where ideas take shape. That's where real work, the kind that moves the needle, gets done. So here's the mission. Block your 90-minute window for tomorrow. Name it. Guard it like sacred territory. And then, create. Build. Think deeply. Write something raw. Solve something hard. Shape your mind through struggle. Because if you don't own your time, someone else will lease it for pennies. The world has enough distracted men. We need fewer consumers and more creators. Fewer reactors and more builders. Fewer screen swipe addicts and more deep thinkers. Be the exception. 90 minutes. One task. No distractions. This is where the invisible edge is earned. And if you do this, not once, but every day, you won't just beat the game. You'll start rewriting it. 5. Rest like a Stoic warrior. True recovery, not passive consumption. After 90 minutes of deep work, a full mental immersion, creative strain, or strategic execution, your body and mind will want to drift. And that's precisely when most men make a critical mistake. They confuse rest with escape. They grab their phone. They open a new tab. They scroll mindlessly. And in doing so, they sabotage the very clarity and power they just earned. Understand this. Rest is not the absence of activity. It is the presence of recovery. The modern world has trained men to seek distraction instead of depth, stimulation instead of stillness. But the Stoics, the warriors of inner terrain, understood the truth. How you rest is just as vital as how you work. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less. Or do what's essential. And do it well." This includes how you pause. Because real warriors don't just work hard, they recover with precision. So here's the next challenge in your transformation. Take a 20-minute midday rest. Fully present. No screens. No scrolling. No podcasts. No multitasking. Just sit. Or lie down. Or go for a slow walk. Not to optimize. Not to consume content. But to reconnect with breath. With body. With stillness. Why 20 minutes? Because you don't need a 2-hour break. You need a short, deliberate ritual of recharging that tells your nervous system, you did the work. Now reset. Here's how to do it. Block 20 minutes in your calendar after your first deep work session. Set your environment, silence your phone, dim the lights if indoors, step into nature if possible. Do nothing. Literally. Nothing. Not guided meditation. Not reading. Just sit with yourself. Let your system recalibrate. If thoughts come, observe them. No judgment. Let them pass like clouds. When the timer ends, return to the world sharper, calmer, more grounded. This might feel unnatural at first. Even uncomfortable. That's because stillness is a lost art. But make no mistake. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is the forge where power consolidates. You don't want to be the man who runs all day but never moves the needle. You want to be the man who knows when to strike and when to sheath the blade. And that begins by honoring the rhythm of creation and recovery. The world will always whisper, keep going. Stay plugged in. Scroll while you eat. Watch something while you rest. But a Stoic listens to a different rhythm, one that flows from the inside out, not the outside in. So here's your new rhythm. Work with full intensity. Then rest with full presence. 20 minutes. No stimulation. No distraction. Only silence, breath, and clarity. Because sometimes the sharpest edge is not made by grinding harder, but by cooling the steel with precision. And a man who knows how to truly rest, he returns to battle twice as dangerous. Make it a ritual. Protect your rest like you protect your mission. Because the man who rests like a warrior returns like a storm. 6. Impose limits, channel time and energy with surgical precision. You've now tasted what it feels like to recover like a warrior. To pause not as an indulgence, but as an act of power. To claim back your nervous system in a world that constantly claws at your attention. But recovery, when done right, leads to a new responsibility. To direct your energy with precision, not diffusion. Because power, unchanneled, becomes chaos. And chaos, internal or external, is where weak decisions are born. A Stoic does not fear boundaries. He builds them deliberately. This next step in your journey is about structure, but not the rigid kind built on perfectionism or guilt. No. This is about dynamic, self-imposed limits that create freedom by forcing clarity. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Most men don't lack time. They lack the spine to protect it. They bleed their day into vagueness, one task mutating into another, no clear end, no true beginning. They confuse motion for progress and busyness for purpose. You must break that cycle. Here's the Stoic principle. Set clear time boundaries and energy caps for every task. Not to become robotic, but to become decisive, focused, efficient, ruthless where it counts. The paradox is this. The more constraints you give yourself, the more freedom you earn. When a task has no deadline, your mind expands it to infinity. When your day has no guardrails, indecision becomes your master. Here's your new code of operation. Every task has a start time and an end time, no exceptions. Break your day into work sprints, 45 minutes on, 10 to 15 minutes off. At the end of each sprint, stop, even if the task isn't perfect. Move on. If it matters, you'll return with more clarity. If it doesn't, let it go. Write down what you'll do and when you'll stop doing it. Not everything needs your full day, only your full presence. This is not about speed. It's about eliminating mental friction, the kind that quietly kills your momentum. Perfectionism is procrastination in disguise. Endless working is cowardice dressed as discipline. But a man who defines his limits, who says, "This is how long I'll give this, no more," becomes lethal in action. Most men burn out because they don't know how to stop. They confuse exhaustion with excellence. They bleed their energy into everything and then wonder why nothing grows. Not you. You will learn to contain your effort like a sniper contains breath. You will strike with clarity. And then pause with confidence. So here's your challenge for tomorrow. List your core tasks. Give each a time box, 45-minute blocks with defined endpoints. When the time ends, stop. No dragging. No tweaking. No rewinding. Step back. Reset. Shift to the next. Do this not once, but every day. Until it becomes your rhythm. Your edge. Because the man who works without limits lives in a fog. But the man who imposes structure becomes a storm in motion. Know this. Limits are not restrictions. They are tools of command. And the man who masters them bends time to his will. 7. Close the day like a ritual. Restore outer order to sharpen inner clarity. If you begun operating your day in defined, decisive blocks, each action bounded by time, not dragged by indecision, then you're already walking in rare air. But there's one final frontier you must claim each day before the lights go out. A ritual most men skip. A gesture that seems small, but makes all the difference. The closing of your workday. With intention. With finality. With clarity. Because a day without a clear ending leaks into the next like spilled oil. Tasks blur. Focus fades. Sleep gets swallowed by unresolved tension. The Stoic man doesn't stumble into his night. He prepares his mind and his space like a warrior sharpening his blade for dawn. Seneca wrote, "Order is the shape of the soul made visible." Most people think their environment is cosmetic. But what surrounds you shapes your perception every moment without asking permission. A cluttered desk is not just messy. It's an external reflection of unresolved loops. Open tabs in your psyche. A scattered evening routine is not just chaotic. It signals to your nervous system, we're still in battle. Stay alert. But you will build something different. An end-of-day ritual that reinforces clarity, completion, and control. Because true freedom is not found in having nothing to do. It's found in knowing what's done and what awaits with precision. Here's your protocol. Clean your physical workspace. Wipe the desk. Organize the tools. Close the laptop with finality. Remove every trace of mental residue. Write down the top 3 actions for tomorrow. Not 10. Not a vague to-do list. Just 3. The ones that matter. Define them clearly. When you wake up, there's no guessing, only execution. Reflect on one insight from the day. What went well? What distracted you? What will you do better? One sentence. That's all. A breadcrumb trail of growth. Breathe. Then walk away. Do not reopen the laptop. Do not just check one more thing. You are done. And that is enough. This ritual does more than reset your space. It resets your nervous system. It signals. I worked with intent. I closed with clarity. I rest without guilt. And that, in a world that glorifies nonstop hustle, is a revolutionary act. Because most men don't stop working. Not because they love the craft, but because they fear the silence. They haven't built a container for their work. So it spills into everything. Family time. Sleep. Peace of mind. Purpose. But you will build that container with your hands and your will. So here's your challenge. Tonight, before bed, do not scroll. Do not collapse into the couch. Instead, clean your desk. Write tomorrow's 3 actions. Capture today's 1 insight. Breathe. Close the loop. Walk away. Do this for 7 nights. Let it become sacred. Because the man who ends his day with order begins the next with fire. In a world that ends its day in chaos, you will end yours with deliberate calm. And from that calm, the next battle begins on your terms. 8. Guard the final hour. Build a sacred fortress before sleep claims you. If you've begun ending your day with intention, wiping your workspace clean, selecting tomorrow's vital actions, and reflecting with quiet clarity, then you've already stepped into a rhythm that few modern men possess. But there is one final battlefield. One final hour that separates the man who lives with discipline from the man who merely survives on autopilot. The last 60 minutes before sleep. This is the hour where most men surrender. They let their standards slip. Their screens glow. Their thoughts drift. They scroll. They binge. They numb. They give away what should be sacred to the cheapest bidder, dopamine. But not you. You've built the day with steel. Now you must protect the night with silence. Because how you end your day shapes how you begin the next. The Stoics were ruthless in their evening reflections, not out of guilt, but because they knew. We are dying daily. Let the day close like a sealed scroll, complete, resolved, and undisturbed. Marcus Aurelius. There is no discipline without ritual. And no ritual more powerful than the hour before sleep. Because this is not just an hour of rest. It is the launch pad of recovery, memory, creativity, and psychological fortification. This is where you anchor yourself in restful strength, not unconscious escape. Here's how to claim this sacred space. Turn off all screens 60 minutes before sleep. No emails. No social media. No YouTube rabbit holes. You are no longer in the world's service. Dim the lights. Lower the volume of your environment. Your nervous system learns from your surroundings. Begin the descent, physically and mentally. Choose one grounding ritual. This could be light reading, stretching, journaling, a slow walk in silence, or a breathing session. The goal is not stimulation, it's presence. Reflect. Gently. Not to dissect. Not to judge. Simply to ask. What did I control well today? Where did I react poorly? How will I respond with more clarity tomorrow? Sleep as a warrior preparing for battle. Not with scattered thoughts, but with a calm, rested body. A resolved mind. A still soul. Why is this important? Because the man who ends his night with intention wakes with direction. He doesn't fumble for his phone. He doesn't stumble into noise. He rises with clarity because he rested with purpose. Most men collapse into bed. They carry the unresolved debris of the day into their dreams and wonder why they wake up foggy, anxious, scattered. Not you. You will sleep like a Stoic. Not with tension. Not with stimulation. But with earned stillness. So here's your challenge. Tonight, 1 hour before bed, shut everything down. Pick a single analog activity. Protect that hour like your life depends on it, because your clarity does. Then close your eyes, not as an exhausted worker, but as a prepared warrior. And when you rise tomorrow, the world will feel quieter. And your mind sharper. Because a man who honors the final hour of the day commands the first hour of the next. 9. Rewrite one Stoic lesson daily. Turn mistakes into mastery. If you've reclaimed your final hour before sleep, dimmed the noise, grounded your body, and stepped into the stillness of deliberate rest, then you've already separated yourself from the unconscious momentum of the modern world. But to truly close the day as a Stoic, there is one final act. A moment of reflection that turns today's chaos into tomorrow's clarity. You must extract the lesson. And write it down. Not in your head. Not in passing. But with the same deliberateness you bring to your training, your business, your life. Because without reflection, there is no correction. And without correction, there is no evolution. Marcus Aurelius didn't just think deeply, he documented his inner war. His Meditations wasn't a public book. It was a battle log of self-command. A record of where he failed, where he rose, and what he vowed to do better next time. And this is your challenge now. Not to punish yourself. Not to moralize. But to practice the highest Stoic act. Turning judgment into wisdom. Weakness into insight. Reaction into response. Here's your final ritual of the day. Open your journal. Choose one moment from your day where you reacted poorly or where your behavior fell short of who you want to be. Write the scene. Be honest. Where were you triggered? What emotion drove you? What belief was exposed? Then, rewrite the moment. How could you have responded with greater clarity, courage, calm? What would a Stoic do if they were in your shoes? Not with shame, but with awareness. Do this every single night. Why? Because repetition reprograms. And consistent reflection creates an internal compass that no external storm can shake. You begin to see patterns. You begin to anticipate your weak points. And eventually, you begin to act by choice, not by conditioning. Seneca said, "Every day, before sleep, we must ask, what bad habit have I conquered? What temptation resisted? What virtue practiced?" This is not self-help. This is self-honor. And it is a man's final act of personal responsibility before surrendering to sleep. Most men carry their regrets into bed like weight. They replay mistakes, but never decode them. They judge themselves harshly, or they numb completely. You will do neither. You will look at the mirror with steadiness, and then use what you see as fuel. So here's your challenge. Tonight, when the room is quiet and the day is behind you, open the page. Write the moment you wish you'd handled better. And rewrite it as the man you are becoming. Not as a fantasy, but as a rehearsal. Because tomorrow, life will test you again. And when it does, you won't be caught off guard. You'll be ready, because you've already lived that moment once before. You've studied it, refined it, and when it returns, you'll respond like a man who has rehearsed discipline. This is not journaling. This is mental sharpening. A forge of internal command. A quiet rebellion against stagnation. And the difference between a life on repeat and a life under your authorship. End each day by rewriting one lesson. Because the man who reflects evolves. And the man who evolves becomes unstoppable. 10. Guard your sleep like honor. Rest is a weapon, not a weakness. If you've begun ending each day by rewriting your mistakes, not as a form of guilt, but as a gateway to growth, then you're already ahead of most modern men. Because you're no longer sleeping with regrets swirling in your mind. You're going to bed with direction, with purpose, with integrity restored. But now comes the final gate. The last threshold between this day and the next. Sleep. Not just any sleep. Disciplined, protected, and intentional rest, the kind a Stoic treats as sacred. Because the world today has turned sleep into an afterthought. A casualty of binge culture. A victim of distraction. A slave to late-night false pleasures. Men today don't sleep. They collapse. Not because they've earned the rest, but because they've outrun exhaustion. But a warrior doesn't collapse. He prepares for sleep like he prepares for battle. Why? Because sleep is not an escape. It is a weapon. A well-rested mind sees clearer, responds faster, learns deeper, acts bolder. And a man who sleeps with intention wakes with command. The Stoics didn't talk about sleep the way modern productivity culture does. They didn't see it as a luxury or optimization. They saw it as alignment between body, mind, and moral rhythm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Go to sleep in peace and rise to meet the dawn with clarity." The opposite of that is a man who trades his energy for a few more hours of meaningless pleasure. Netflix. Endless scrolling. One more drink. One more distraction. And what does it cost? Mental fog. Emotional fragility. Lack of decisiveness. Poor attention. Diminished willpower. All because he chose entertainment over restoration. But you, if you've come this far, will choose differently. You will see sleep as part of your system of power. And protect it with the same seriousness you protect your craft, your values, your time. Here's your challenge for tonight and every night forward. Set a fixed sleep time and honor it like a contract. Not when I feel tired, but a non-negotiable hour. Show up for it daily. Treat your final waking actions as sacred. Review your Stoic lessons. Breathe deeply. Thank the day. Prepare for tomorrow and then release it. Silence all digital noise at least 1 hour before bed. The world can wait. The dopamine loop can break. Your presence is more valuable than your notifications. Sleep in darkness, in quiet, and in intention. You are not escaping the day. You are recharging for the war ahead. Sleep like a Stoic. Not because it feels good, but because it gives you back your edge. Because the man who sleeps deeply, not out of exhaustion, but out of alignment, wakes sharper than those still trapped in the haze. So tonight, ask yourself one question. Do I want another hour of stimulation? Or a morning of unshakable strength? Because you can't have both. You either wake up ready or you wake up reacting. You either choose sleep now or pay for it later. You've built your day from the ground up. A mindful morning. A disciplined action plan. A body moved by will. A mind sharpened by reflection. A soul protected by order. Now, complete the system. Let your sleep be intentional recovery, not unconscious collapse. Because when you rise, tomorrow is not just another day. It is another test. And a man who sleeps with honor rises with fire.